And it's like, I tell anybody that you trying to stream on Twitch, you trying to get some motion on YouTube, you trying to do art, you trying to do music. Donald Trump has been president twice. What is your excuse? Even if you're bad at what you're doing, just keep going. Just be too stupid to lose. So to quote Dickens, we are definitely in the best of times and in the worst of times. I am, and I think I said this last week, I'm absolutely in my feelings about the state of America, and I'm making an exit plan to leave if I need to, right? But then there's also every single day, I get more and more revolutionary optimism. The people who are pulling the levers of this country they're super incompetent. Let's put it that way. And they're driving us towards a future of accelerationism that I could have never imagined. And no, before any of you say accelerationism, so many people are going to die, so many people are going to be hurt. That's all correct. And I don't mean to shrug that off as something that's not correct. But the issue is you want the empire to fall like this. You want the empire to fall dirty and quick and messy. What you don't want is this constant slowly turning up the temperature till we're all frogs boiling in the same pot. That's what you do not want. And I say this again, Donald Trump, like I started out this stream, Donald Trump is, if I was going to make a guy in the lab who was the most American president of all time, it would be Donald Trump with all the qualities of America. It would be Donald Trump. And if I was a sleeper agent that wanted to destroy the empire, the American empire from within, I absolutely would create a guy like Donald Trump and his henchman, Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth at the Department of War, which I love that name. I love that. I am not one of these pearl clutching liberals who is like, oh, he changed the department. It's always been the Department of War. You want a guy like this in charge. 100%. A guy who is going to rip the NPR colored mask off the brutal empire that is America and give it to people exactly how it is. Because it stirs up and activates the people in this country who have been, when you live in the imperial core, you live the Star Wars world of Coruscant. That's where the empire, that's where the imperial seat of the Star Wars universe. You get a certain amount of ability, privilege, protection, insulation to be apolitical. What you want, if you're revolutionary, I'm not calling myself a revolutionary, but if you want things to change, you need to activate people. And Donald Trump is activating apolitical normies or even apolitical people who voted for him, which is a beautiful thing. He's activated them to be like, what is going on with politics? Maybe I should find out who my representatives are. Maybe I should find out what their politics are. Maybe I should go to town halls. You've seen them all. So our Republicans have stopped doing town halls. And I would say this, it's not a Republican problem because we'll get into these leaks that came out from the young Republicans. We know that Republicans are evil. I mean, I'm calling my own parents evil at this point. But if you're either going to sit by and let atrocities happen to other people, or you're going to take the ICE bonus and go out and do atrocities on your own, then that's evil. And we need to call it out. But evil is going to do evil, and that's just another Tuesday. The same venom, the same no kings protest energy that these liberals have for the Republican Party, we need to have for the Democratic Party. I watched the clips of the I've Had It podcast. They're liberals. It's fine. Everybody's got to start somewhere. When I tell people this, I've really softened my stance on liberals because everybody has a journey that they have to go on. And I was a United States Marine Corps vet and also a cop. So everybody's on a journey. Everybody's allowed to have bad politics and stumble their way through it. It's our job to get people where they need to go. So when I hear about people either going to the No Kings protest or I hear about people joining the DSA, I have a knee-jerk reaction of being like, poo-poo that. But I go, wait, babies first, agitation, let them stretch their legs, let them meet the Portland Frogman, and let them get tear gas with the Portland Frogman. We want Mimon Pop-Pop out there with their I believe in science and Black Lives Matter, and I want them to know what CS gas tastes like, because they'd be like, oh, this ain't right. But back to the I've Had It podcast. The only thing I would tell them if I could talk to them for 5 minutes is that I love what you're doing, but I need you to understand the only reason you're Oklahoma liberal white women, and the only reason you can come out here and make a career out of talking as greasy as you do about the Republican Party is because you're Oklahoma liberal white women. So just when you have thoughts and opinions to say in front of a microphone and a camera, I need you to focus it through that prism and understand that, because I watched them with Cory Booker. Cory cannot believe Rosario Dawson had carnal relations with that man. That man, the only person I can think in politics that's more cybernetic than him is Richie Torres. It's crazy. Whatever star crush I had on Rosario Dawson was broken as soon as I found out she was dating Cory Booker. But I digress. The I've Had It podcast. They held Cory Booker to account in the way that liberals attempt to hold liberal politicians to account. Slight, oh, I don't understand. Oh, I know you're trying your best. And he was doing ID politics the whole way. He knew what he was doing. He was commenting on his identity as a Black man who grew up in New York and sickle cell anemia and all this other foolishness as a shield to protect himself from Midwestern white women and their scorn. They knew it. He knew it. There's nothing they could do. That's just the politics of the day. That's how it rolls out, right? But the thing is, they don't understand. Yeah, I've had a podcast, ladies. When they're talking to Cory Booker, they think at most generous, they think they're talking to an ally. At most aggressive and cynical, they think they're talking to a fallen ally. Somebody that they can bring back into the fold and awaken this kind of altruism inside of him. He never had it. That thing that you think he cares about his district and he cares about his constituents, he never had it. It's all a scam. It's all, y'all are not on the same team. If the I Had It podcast ladies are actually not running a grift, and I'm not saying that they are, I'm not saying that they're insincere. I'm saying if they're sticking to the title of their podcast as their politics is I've Had It. Well, Cory Booker has not had it. He's not had enough. He's not had enough money from lobbyists. He's not had enough money from AIPAC. He's not had enough selling out his constituency. He's not had enough of not doing the people's business and doing business for himself. He's not had it. Until these liberals understand that the Democratic Party is their adversary and their controlled opposition, until they understand that the Democratic Party, as it sits right now, with a handful of exceptions that we can name off, and they pay the price every day. But until they understand that the Democratic Party is nothing but the Washington Generals to the Republican Party's Harlem Globetrotters, then we will not move the ball anywhere forward towards, I don't even talk about leftism or progressivism or whatever ism that we're trying to talk about, to just having a functional society. Until they figure it's our job as leftists. There are very few liberals here, watching this space on a Wednesday night. Mostly we're going to be leftists. At best, at worst, probably sock dims. But until it's our job to get these people to where they need to be. That's my preamble. Let's get in to some newsy McNewsertons. We have a fake ceasefire that's already been violated by Israel in Palestine right now. And there was some interesting stuff here from Politico that I wanted to read. I wanted to read some of this Political article and talk about it. Speaking at the White House, Trump said of the Palestinian militant group, if they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently. This is an epic Donald Trumpism, right? This is they don't have the cards when they talked about Ukraine. Well, let me tell you something. You want to talk about not having the cards? The U.S. and Israel, which are one and the same. Israel is just the attack dog for us. They're our proxy, our colony. Don't get it twisted. They do not control the United States at all. There is no hashtag globalist conspiracy. They don't run anything. But talk about cards. That is a bold statement to make after this last attempt at fully genociding and ethnically displacing the Palestinian people. Because, you know, history didn't start on October 7th. This isn't the first time. The history of the Palestinian genocide started with the Nakba, started in 1948. 1947, really, but still, you get me. And I said this in a previous video that you can check out on my YouTube channel, Lumencast, about the fake ceasefire that's already been violated. Let's do a reality check. I don't care what you think about Palestine. I don't care what you think about the Palestinians. I don't care what you think about the H group. I don't care what you think about Donald Trump. I don't care what you think about Zionism or Israel. This is simple scoreboard. Have you ever watched an NFL game and two guys have a hard hit and then the game is out of hand? One side's definitely going to win. And the guy on the losing side is jaw-jacking to the other guy. And instead of engaging, he looks up and he just points at the scoreboard and just goes, scoreboard, scoreboard. This is scoreboard. Israel has achieved zero, not one, of its military objectives. Not a one. They never freed a hostage in combat. Is absolutely not disarming. The H group, by saying they don't want to govern Gaza, that was never the plan. This is the same deal that was put forth by the resistance group on October 8th. And Israel refused to pick it up. The resistance fighters, the resistance groups, not just one group, there are multiple groups, and now they're all aligned with different politics. Tunnels are still in operation. Rocket teams are still ready to go. Not been disarmed. Not going to be disarmed. The resistance fighters traded 20 hostages, 20 live bodies for 2,000. Let me say that again. 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. So how are you going to come on wherever you're coming on TV? I don't know if he said this or with a camera in his face. He said this obviously in front of a reporter, and you're going to sit here and tell these people you're going to violently disarm them. Then what were y'all doing since 1948? What were y'all doing the last couple years of the genocide? Y'all were just playing tiddlywinks. They were just goofing around. And also Donald Howe. Who's going to disarm them? You going to send in the Marines? What are you going to do? Bomb them more? Are we going to do this? Disarmed by who? Your puppets, the IDF, the worst warfighters in history, can't get it done. Who are you going to send in now? You're going to put American boots on the ground? I want this, and I say this in all seriousness, I want this to end. I want a free Palestinian state. I want a one-state solution, because the two-state solution was always a scam. I want a one Palestine. But if we can't have that, I want, and I mean, I'm gonna look right into the camera. I want Donald Trump to send American troops on the ground in Gaza, because there is no greater way to destroy the American empire. There is no greater way to get kids to not enlist in the United States military anymore for generations. They're going to have the same kind of dip and drop that they had with the Vietnam War. It will destroy what is left of the American fantasy scam facade that we have here at home. So if we're going to do it, let's do it. Like I said, this guy is but if we found out this guy was some kind of agent for a foreign country sent to get elected and destroy the United States, I'd be like, yeah, that figures. Everything he's done is making it happen. Everything he's done has made it so there can be an actual real left populist, not even resurgence, because we've never had that in this country, but ascendancy in this country. This is exactly how I'd want to do it. 100%. This guy's hilarious. Let's see what else we got. Forces return to the streets in areas of Gaza vacated by the Israeli military, clashed with other armed groups, and killed alleged gangsters. Separately, Israeli troops shot people on Tuesday who they accused of violating the ceasefire agreement by crossing the yellow line behind which Israeli troops are stationed. Local authorities said 6 were killed. Jesus, man. Disgusting. Ceasefire, no ceasefire. We control it all. But these resistance fighters took the most powerful, lethal, technologically advanced military to ever exist on planet Earth at any time in Earth's existence and dragged it to the negotiating table, kicking and screaming, just like the Vietnamese did. This is getting to be light work. You understand? With every failure the United States military has in trying to hold places where the indigenous people do not want you there, all you're doing is training the next generation of freedom fighters to do the same thing. This is getting to be textbook of how to beat us. Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu has repeatedly said that the war will not end until Hamas has been dismantled. It looks like it did, Bibi. According to you, dog. Like, if you didn't want the war to end until Hamas was dismantled, then what are you doing? Why are you telling all your people that you had to do a ceasefire to get your people back? What are you talking about? Here's Israel's plan. Here's what they want. They want us to be like, yay, ceasefire. Yay, we did it, guys. Palestine is free. Woohoo. And we all just, the news cycle goes by. We're worried about who's in the Love is Blind pods, and we don't talk about Palestine anymore. And they can continue the slow genocide that they've been going through, that they've been doing since 1948. They thought with October 7th, that was their key to do their final solution, and it wasn't. So now they're back to doing the slow moving genocide. We have to stay in the street. We have to attack rhetorically every single politician, like the I've Had It ladies did with Cory Booker, and say, hey, how much money did you get from AIPAC? Is Bibi Netanyahu a war criminal? Tell me right now, yay or nay. I don't want to hear about it, because this is, if I cannot trust you to speak out against the genocide, if I cannot trust you to be bought and sold by AIPAC, then I cannot trust you with kitchen table issues. That's how we have to keep the momentum going. We've got them on the run. What they want you to do is they want you to forget. They want the news cycle to move on. That is their plan. We cannot let that happen. And this is the funniest part, because Trump, he's like a 4chan kid. He's a proto 4chan kid. He doesn't care. He recognizes strength and he recognizes assertiveness. He doesn't care if it's altruistic. He doesn't care if it's from an evil place. All he does is recognize strength. So this was hilarious to me. Trump said Tuesday that did take out a couple gangs that were very bad and killed a number of gang members. That didn't bother me much, to be honest with you, he said. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Because also, these gangs, where am I? These gangs were funded, until yesterday, were funded by Israel to steal aid and cause chaos in the Strip. And said, we can't do that. Y'all are collaborators. Y'all collaborated with the enemy, so you got to go. And I'm a little conflicted on that. My confliction comes from this. I'm a big anti-death penalty guy because this is the de facto government. Our government here in the United States, state and federal, our infrastructure, I always say this when somebody wants to talk to me about the death penalty. I don't even try emotional argument, because I can't convince you to care about another human being. So I try to convince people to care about their logic or what would selfishly help them. So when somebody says the death penalty, they're all pro death penalty, I say, you're telling me, and usually this person is a right winger, and I say, you tell me all the time how I can't trust the government, how much you hate the government, how much the government gets in the way, how we need to make the federal government so small that we can drown in a bathtub. I'm a enlightened libertarian, but you're pro death penalty. So what you're saying is you want me to trust the same people who can't fix the bridges, can't fix the infrastructure, can't patch the potholes. You want me to trust those people to murder the correct people? You've got to be kidding me. Make that make any kind of sense. And it can't. But when I look at these guys, but then it goes back to, well, I can feel some type of way about that and be like, maybe that's not the thing to do. You exile these people, you ship them off to Israel. I don't know. I don't have the answers because things can go sideways real quick when you're talking about which people we should murder. That's how things get real out of hand. And I should say murder in cold blood. I should use that as a qualifier. I will be damned if I let any right-winger or right-wing press tell me that, oh, did you know this was executing people? Oh, did you know they were executing roving gangs of people who were stealing aid and selling it? Oh, did you know that those gangs were funded by Bibi Netanyahu, and that money that Israel funds those gangs with comes from my tax dollars? And you expect me to give a flying fuck about that? I can care about it. If you're a super lefty and you put a flower, you want to put flowers in everybody's, in all the ICE and Department of Homeland Security guys' gun barrels, and you don't kill a fly, and you're a vegetarian, and it's peace, love, and chicken grease and all that, man. God bless you. I'll listen to you. If you want to tell me how murdering people is wrong under any circumstances, I will listen to you 100% because you're walking the walk. But I will not listen to hypocrites. I say this as somebody who is, I joke in my old age and I say, I'm getting super witchy as I get older, but I'm still an agnostic atheist, which is really the only kind of atheist you should be. Like, whoo, that's such a 2010s convo about hard atheism versus agnostic. Whatever, it's stupid. But I don't go around telling people that God's not real and all that and be like, ah, ha, ha, y'all are stupid. And you know who I really don't tell that to is clergy people. If you're a nun, you're a priest, you're a rabbi, you're an imam, you're a pastor, I'm not having this conversation with Noah's Ark's not real, right? I'm not doing that because you are living. You are walking the walk. You have centered your life around this belief. And so I have to have respect for that. But what I will not do is take, a Easter and Christmas, Catholic, as they say, and have them try to convince me about the man in the sky when I'm in line with them at the sports betting bookie in the casino on Sunday, right? Betting on the game or something like that. I ain't trying to hear all that from you because you don't even believe this, because if you did believe this, you would center your life in a way that would make sense because these are your core beliefs. So hippie lady, what they say, ultra lefty super ultra lefty 2000 hippie lady, you want to talk to me about not killing people is the right way to be? I will listen to you, but I will not listen to a right winger try to tell me about how terrible resistance group is because they took out the Israel funded trash for committing treason when they are obviously pro the penalty for treason in this country is also death by the federal government. The federal government gets to murder you. So and they are completely fine with that. So I will not listen to you try to put your Sunday morning morality on me. That's not happening. Big day if you're a Charlie Kirk fan yesterday. Charlie Kirk was posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom. I'm just going to read a little bit of this because that's all my stomach can handle. Trump awards Charlie Kirk the posthumously Medal of Freedom posthumously to Charlie Kirk. President Trump posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom to conservative activist Charlie Kirk at the White House on Tuesday, just over a month after he was shot and killed at an event in Orem, and I hope that's how you say it, Orem, Utah. Now, the reason why I'm even bringing this up, because the reason why the Trump administration is doing this, obviously, is because they want to keep Charlie Kirk in the news as some kind of martyr. Because they're like, don't forget about Charlie Kirk, and that because that's why we need to do violence on everybody who isn't white and conservative. So that's what we need you to remember. You know, je suis Charlie. We are all Charlie, right? Except if you're a black, brown woman or gay. But it came on the same day that Politico and dropped this banger. I love Hitler. Leak messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. So I'm sure by now, here we're sitting here on Wednesday, we've all heard about this. I'll read a little bit of it for those who haven't. Leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and lauded Republicans who they believed supported slavery. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because no, Turning Point USA was not a part of this. They weren't. But this national group of young Republicans who are seeking to advance their careers in the Republican Party, this isn't a DSA meeting. These are people with actual ties to the GOP. And when we say young, we're talking 18 to 40. But the reason why I'm bringing this up in relation to Charlie Kirk is because these people are it's a Venn diagram that is only a circle. Turning Point USA and this group worked hand in hand. They all love each other. They all have the same politics. What this shows you right here, going back to my original Gaza take, a small part of it, all this crocodile tears from the Republican Party about anti-Semitism is just, if you're on the left, you knew it was a lie from straight up. And this is, let's see, I'm going to create, let's see here. William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, used the words, the N-word, variations of a racial slur more than a dozen times in the chat. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to as epic. Peter Gunta, who at the time was chair of the same organization, wrote in a message sent in June that everyone who votes no is going to the gas chamber. He was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's 15,000 member political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40 years old. My man's thighs are touching, bro. His suit is sloppy. Like Men's Warehouse wouldn't even let you to walk out of the door looking like this. I want you to look at this kid. He looks like Augustus Gloop off Charlie and the Child. He's the softest, most cuddly man I've ever seen in my life. And look at this. Collar's messed up. Tie clasp is wrong. Suit doesn't fit. What is this? Is this hair a dog whistle? It could be. It looks like ass. But again, thighs are touching. Can't bench press 2 plates. Look how small his arms are compared to his chest that has no definition in this trash bag of a suit. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up is, we body shaming out here. It is what it is. But it's always guys like this. It's always people who would not survive their own ideology. You see what I'm saying? In the world that they want to live in, where it's just law of the jungle, it's might makes right. I won't survive that world either, right? But brother, I will eat you. I will eat you before they get me. Do you understand what I'm saying? You will not survive the world that you were trying to create. I want to create a world where people have healthcare, education, a decent standard of life, and just be, have the kind of lives that our ancestors could never dream of because we're so soft, because society works so well. They want to live in some kind of Mad Max hellscape because they think they'll be the dictator. They think they'll be on the side of the strongmen. No, the people who they've tried to dominate, and they tried to subjugate since the first slave ship hit this country, have survived off of nothing, off of less, off of chitlins, off of collard greens, off of kale, which used to be, I'm old enough to remember when kale wasn't a thing you would eat. It was a thing they would just throw on the plate and you would throw away. Off of lobster, when lobster was given to prisoners because it was a poor person's food. And now it's a delicacy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the people that they want to subjugate are people whose survival is literally written. Survival and trauma is literally written into our DNA. The delusion is so deep. You will not survive this at all. All right. So lastly, I want to give a shout out to my libs. Make sure it's up. All right. No Kings protests. No Kings protests could draw historic turnout and pushback against Trump. Organizers say the anger level is way higher than it was for June protests, which drive up turnout. The organizer says some Republicans accuse protesters of hating America. Yeah, I hate America. Like, what about it? Like, that is dead. That you can even print that. USA Today is crazy. Like, you act like we're living in the 40s. Or do you hate America? McCarthyism, that's dead, bro. Like, nobody's trying to hear this anymore. Nobody cares who loves or hates America or who listens to Lee Greenwood when it costs $50 worth of groceries, just to get food for the day for you and your spouse. Forget kids, forget pets. Just you and your spouse trying to eat is $25 a day, bro. Nobody cares about that. But I want to end on some positive, because so this No Kings protest, and I still say this, you'll never catch me at one. And the reason why is I used to think it was because I was like, this is stupid. Y'all are out here, anytime a protest is allowed by the state, you're no longer at a protest, you're at a parade, which is true. And I thought it was a waste of time. And I've come to realize I have to do a mea culpa that liberals stretching their agitation legs that they've never, stretched before, those muscles are atrophied, or this is what they need. And you'll still never catch me at one, mostly because I've outgrown it. And that's not a thing of saying like, oh, you shouldn't do it. If you want to go, you should definitely go. But I have personally outgrown that, and I would bring down the mood at a thing like this. But I think it's important for liberals to get agitated, for liberals to go out. I think it's important especially for white liberals, to stretch their legs, stretch those revolutionary muscles, yell at a cop. Hopefully they get pepperballed. Hopefully they get tear gas. Again, I'm not saying it because I want them to get hurt. I don't have any control over that. What I want them to know is how much they're not safe either. So if they can feel a little bit of that pain, they can be like, man, I see what they were talking about. In a perfect world, I don't want these protests to even have to exist. And then I'm also, when I see things like the Portland protest frog kid, and he's out there in the frog suit getting CS gassed, I can't knock that. On glance, I would say that's stupid. You're out here trying to make fascist Nazis feel stupid. You're trying to shame them. That doesn't work. The only thing that works is the terms of service violation, right? Only thing that works is redacted. But I am proven wrong. Because when I see this kid in a frog suit get up in a cop's face, do this, and the cops are backing up from the kid in the frog suit, it shows how weak they are. And it gives other people who would be afraid to step up and get in a cop's face, get in an ICE agent's face, yell. They'd be like, man, if the frog kid can do it, I can do it. And they're doing it nationwide. That's the thing that's really got me super optimistic. I really did not expect the liberal pushback. This administration went too fast, too far, too fast, too hard, and it activated normies. It activated people who are not terminally online, who go, wait a minute, because in my last closing minutes, I'll say this. Okay, I'll relate liberals, a lot of West Wing liberals, to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Follow me on this. People call Marjorie Taylor Greene a grifter. I disagree with this. She is not a grifter. She is a racist. She is a crazy lady. She is not a grifter. See, the problem with starting a cult is that it attracts cult members, true believers who believed in America first. So you now have to deal with cult members who believe your foolishness, who go, what part of America first is opening a Qatari air base in Idaho? What part of America first is destroying the farming industry? What part of America first is not having healthcare, not having education, not having decent infrastructure, and shipping all of our tax dollars to Israel? What part of America first is that? What part of America first is Donald Trump getting Trump jet from Qatar? What part of is that helping America? What part of America first is that, right? Now, how I relate that to liberals is liberals, especially white liberals of a certain age, the country's worked for them. It's worked out. They are also cult members. They believe, just as I once did, in the propaganda and the lies that we're told about the American empire. Tim Dillon has a great bit on this. It used to be a couple. I had a 2-car garage, 2 cars in there. I didn't have to worry about how I was going to feed my family. I had a good job down at the plant, the factory, the warehouse, the office, whatever. Yeah, some brown people somewhere get bombed every couple of years. It's real sad. We'll light a candle for them. But I get a good deal out of this. But now that deal is gone. It's broken. These older people are seeing their kids' lives. They don't even understand how people under the age of 40 are living, and they have to talk to their children like, Mom, Dad, it's terrible out here. And they go, man, I didn't know, because they believed in the American cult. So now because they believed in the ideals that they were lied to about this country, just like I was, they want to defend those ideals. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to defend the ideals of America first. That's the problem with creating a cult, is that cult members are attracted to the cult. And now you have to abide by the thing that you attracted into the cult for. So in closing, I will say this. Liberals, get out and do your thing. Please do not poo-poo anybody who goes to any of these parades / protests. Everybody needs to walk and crawl before they can run. And I'm not even running yet. I'm not to a place where, I've made these decisions in my mind. Like, am I ready to go to prison? Am I ready to get killed? If it steps up and I have to engage with an ICE agent to try to unarrest someone, am I willing to do that? I can tell you, I can look in this camera and I can say yes, but when that time comes, I don't know. And I hope to God I have the strength to do that. And these other people are also finding that same strength right now. So with that being said, this is my time. Thank you guys. If you haven't subscribed to the Lumencast on YouTube, please subscribe. It really helps me push my stuff up. So hopefully I can get monetized, make a couple bucks. So if I do have to flee the country, I can make some money off of YouTube to support myself and whatever little crappy teaching job I get. Also, I'm on Twitch at Lumencast. You can follow and subscribe over there. I really appreciate it. Jeff, if you know Jeff and I, we also have a podcast every Thursday, Good Morning Comrade. It's wherever podcasts are available. And we're going to turn it over to the letter hack, and he's going to do some art with a message. kind of like my old art teacher used to. She was really great. She was used to in high school. We would do art, and she would sneak in like leftist theory. She really formed my little brain. But yeah, take it away.